It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, the neighborhood, the neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. Hey guys, just wanted to do a quick little video here showing what I'm doing for this year's garden. I'm starting over with some new things in addition to adding to what I already have, and just wanted to kind of make a little different video showing kind of the stuff that I like to plant, and that way it's just kind of nice. That way you know where your produce comes from, you know what you're putting into it, no pesticides, and you know any salmonella or anything like that from people going to the restroom in the fields that the plants are grown in and stuff like that. Yeah, I know that's kind of gross, but that does happen. That's how salmonella and stuff gets on watermelons or that kind of stuff. So anyway, got some herbs here: lettuce, we got your oregano, we got your rosemary, basil, thyme, all sorts of peppers, sage. I have some purple sage. This is just one section that I'm getting ready to plant. But big fan of basil and cilantro and rosemary. I use that in a ton of stuff. Also, the Asian basil for, like basil rice or pho or that kind of stuff. But hanging strawberries, and what I usually do is I put them in baskets like this and then hang them. So then that way they're a little more decorative and they get a chance to hang down. They have these, I cut these some, but they have these little tendrils that hang down, and strawberries actually grow out of these too once they get longer. But we had some freezing nights here, so the plants kind of went through a little bit of a rough spell. But I do use plant blankets. You can see how many blankets I have here. It's one of my other, really important kind of hobbies, if you will. There's Jackie. And I really enjoy doing it and just kind of, tending to the earth, and then also having the different flowers and plants that I use. So anyway, I'm going to be filling up this space with more strawberries and another hanging plant there. And then back there in that corner where you see kind of those roots on the ground in the bottom, that's a Tropicana plant that actually grows about 2 feet taller than the fence does. Not the one in the pot, but all the little stems here is called Tropicana. And see how it just looks like sticks right now? But it literally grows to about 2 feet above this when it grows out, and it grows very fast. And it's actually kind of invasive. So you can see these little shoots starting to come up here. But they grow really fast, and they have these beautiful, beautiful, like orchid-looking flowers that come out with purple colored leaves and stems. So that's a really pretty plant. Just cut it back in the winter, and then it grows back like gangbusters. So that's that side. Okay, so some of the oregano and thyme and sage and stuff like that, and then I've got habanero peppers and jalapeno peppers, Fresno, Anaheim, bunch of different types. Okay, then we've got some more flowers that I'm gonna be planting over here, and then I even have some eggplant here, and got my first little eggplant shoot starting to grow out. So I put it all next to the house here so it didn't, freeze at night. But more peppers, more lettuce. Okay, so now for the actual side of where I put all my produce. That's just kind of the staging area over there. So I have a bunch of different tomato plants and peppers that have already been growing for a couple years, and then more hanging plants I'm going to put up. So like this really pretty one. I love the yellows, the purples and white together. And then put the yellow ones that I just showed you from over there. Let me see, to zoom in. Oh yeah, cool. Okay, those yellow ones. Sorry, shaky. I'm gonna put those on the stand over here and in a pot. And then I have raised garden beds for all my lettuces. So these are my new I just planted these lettuce maybe 2 days ago, and they're growing like gangbusters. I'm so happy. It's gonna be great. So I love this because having a raised bed, no critters can get to it. So, and you can put stuff on the bottom too. But that way, and it's also easy to cover them at night if it does get to freezing. Then I just throw a blanket over it, and then next to it I have my herb tray garden. So some of these have frozen and aren't super healthy, so I'm going to be replacing some of them. Like I have this purple sage here, and that's oregano, but you know, like I said, it's all kind of gotten frozen, and this is its second year of growth. So I'm going to replace, this is cilantro, and it turns into fennel. I had no idea that cilantro was fennel too. So when it grows out to the end and you see fennel, sometimes it'll say that on the plant, but yeah, cilantro grows into fennel at the tips, at the end where it kind of flowers. So, but you know, once it gets to that stage, it's pretty much gone through its growth cycle. So I might trim some of those back and keep them, but my parsley's doing really well. So I have a couple different types of parsley. And then anyway, so I'm gonna dig some of that stuff out and put some of those herbs there. And then when you look out through the window, you get to see all of the purples and yellows. And this plant right here, it doesn't look all that great right now, but this plant is called Yellow Bells, and it is a beautiful, beautiful. I put it in this big pot, so it grew into a pretty big bush, but it grows these really gorgeous yellow that look like bells, so they call them yellow bells. And then in my front yard, I have what are called bells of fire. So bells of fire and then yellow bells here, but this thing turns completely yellow, basically, with yellow flowers all over it. Then we have the peach tree, and I'm so stoked because the peach tree's starting to bloom. We've got little blossoms on it again. This peach tree is fantastic. It's really great tree. I found one that had 2 leaders. The leader, if people don't know, the leader is basically the top of this that leads the main shoot of the tree. And if you cut them, they'll branch out into 2 more shoots, 2 more leaders. So if you want a less height in your plant and more width, you can always what's called topping them. And then when you top them, they'll split out into even more. So you can see here, this one actually just accidentally broke. But see how this is starting to grow the new leader off the side there and off the side here. So one shoot that was there, take that away, then it splits into 2 new leaders. So I have that going, and it's a really great tree. I think last year I got probably, 5 dozen peaches off this thing. No joke, just constant peaches. But the critters loved it. The birds, the squirrels, everything. I was like, to try to get them to stay off of it was so hard, man. So kind of had to put like netting and stuff up down on the bottom there, and then just try to cover it. But yeah, it's the peaches, the entire animal universe just loves the peaches. Okay, then we got a hybrid citrus tree, which these are really cool, where it has Meyer lemons and oranges, 2 different types of oranges, all in the same tree. So what they do is they take a main shoot and then they graft on 3 different varieties of citrus onto one graft. So they use like a root hormone, a powder that you mix with water, and then they basically glue on these, and then it fuses onto the one trunk. So then that way I have Valencia oranges, honey mandarin oranges, and Meyer lemons all on one tree. So it's kind of cool. And this tree is only this is only its second year, I believe. So it's still coming out too. But and I put it in a pot. So there's Jackie having fun. What you doing, Jackie? You having a good time? And then I've got my carrots down here. So these are all carrots underneath. And yeah, it's time to harvest some of these. They're getting big and bunching out the top. But I got some really, really big ones. And these are white satin carrots. So a lot of people, you know, they're like, why aren't your carrots orange? You know, why don't you have orange carrots? Well, I do have orange carrots, but I also planted the white satin ones. And one thing I have learned is that if you don't plant them deep enough, they'll turn green at the top because of the chlorophyll that comes from the sunlight coming through the top. So see how this one's a little more white because it's a white satin carrot, but this one is kind of green on top. It's just because the sun, hits the top and then turns it green. But when you pull them out, the whole rest of the carrot is white. So that's kind of an interesting variety, and I just put all those at the base of the citrus tree. Then we've got my apple tree. This apple tree is really great too. Apples, I didn't know that they need such a long chill period. So that's why apples are usually only grown in colder climates, because the cold, they have to have at least 45 days of like 40 degrees to be able to grow properly and shed, all the old growth. So I got a variety of Golden Delicious, so not Red Delicious, but Golden Delicious, which require less of a chill period to still grow. And I'm really stoked about this too, because it's got new shoots coming out. It's starting to bud. So when the apple tree and the peach tree come out together with all the flowers, when they first start, the apple blossoms and then the peach blossoms, it's just so pretty. They're really beautiful plants, or trees, I should say. And then the fruit they produce is so good. So, and you can see I put everything in pots so that way the critters don't get to it as easily. Plus I can move them around. And the trees don't get 50 feet tall. Because these trees will grow very, very big if you put them in the ground. So that way I kind of have a little more control over how big they grow. But see, this apple tree is very tall. I mean, I'd say it's about 15 feet tall. So it still grows very tall even in these pots. Same thing with the peaches. Okay, and then I have some other hanging over here. Nice little fountain. I just got a cheap poured resin fountain. And the birds love it too. The birds come and take little baths in this. And then I have a whole family of hummingbirds and also little sparrows that come to this feeder. I put some extra sugar in it too. And it's really crazy because you'll see non-hummingbirds coming to it, and they've figured out how to fit their beak in there and still drink from it and rest their legs, Oh, we got one right on film. And that's the other thing, is that they're not afraid of me at all. They actually recognize me. I also read online that they recognize, hey, little buddy. They recognize their, the people that feed them and all that stuff. So what I was saying, they actually live in the bamboo right behind it. What a cool little shot. Yeah, there you go, buddy. Enjoy your sugar. And then had a family of the sparrows living in my neighbor's palm tree, like up in this area where all of the little fibers are, where it splits. So the birds actually built nests right next to the feeder just because they know they can rely on the feeder always being full and having extra sugar. And and then also this clumping bamboo has just gotten so tall. So this clumping bamboo, I really like it just because it kind of creates a screen. Otherwise I just would be looking at this brown wall. And on the other side of the wall, I do live next to a street. Not a busy street, but, you know, busy enough to where it creates noise, you know. And so the wall plus the clumping bamboo kind of helps to create a vibe, you know. And then also it keeps out all these pine needles which are behind it, because behind them I have pine trees. You can see the trunk of the pine tree there. Here's a pine cone on the ground right there. But and then these are called albutilon. So these have beautiful white flowers that come out, and then I have some red varieties too along the wall. But you can see they call it clumping bamboo because it grows out of one clump. And then, like, see all those pine cones and needles that fall? So it kind of prevents all of those from blowing over into the yard constantly, because before I put these in here, it was just constant pine needles everywhere. So these have grown so big and so fast. The bamboo is only, I think, 3 years old since I planted it, and it creates this really cool screen. Really cool. So it gives kind of a nice vibe, in addition to almost giving you a feeling like you're in a, you know, tropical setting or something like that. And then when what I was talking about with the Tropicana, when that comes out in the corner too, and then over here in this corner, I have canna lilies and calla lilies. So canna or cana, and then there's calla lilies too. So here you can see, and that all those little dots, that's all fertilizer. But this whole area sprouts up with big, nice canna lilies. And then I'm redoing this pot. It got swamp logged and rot, which I'm really upset about, because this was my pepper tree basically. I started it from a little starter, and it grew into this giant jalapeno tree basically. I mean, you can see, like, look how big the trunk is on this thing. So I'm pretty bummed because I'm gonna have to rip it out and restart. But because of this pot and then where it was, it got waterlogged and frozen. So, you know, things you learn along the way and just doing that kind of stuff. But just wanted to do kind of a good morning video and show what I've got planned for this next year for the plants and the produce that I'm gonna have. So, you know, I really like doing it. It's kind of another therapeutic thing for me. And then also, then I have I know where all my produce is coming from, and, you know, growing it with my own hands. And sometimes I do just get, you know, so like Bonnie plants like this, you know, and then what I'll do is I transplant them into big pots like this. So these got frozen. These were planted, you know, like, I don't know, 4 months ago or something, and they're not doing too well. So I'm gonna restart and put the tomatoes in this big pot, and then they grow into enormous, huge, delicious tomatoes. So carrots, tomatoes, and lettuce are pretty much what I exist off of when I'm growing my produce, but I make sure to have a good variety so that way I'm getting good iron and minerals and vitamins through what I'm eating, just because of some health issues and whatnot. But that way I have, you know, good dark colored lettuces have more iron, or, you know, they have more content of different minerals in them, in addition to the herbs and stuff too. So alright guys, well, that's a long video, but hopefully some people enjoy it. Good morning, good afternoon, wherever you may be, and I hope you have a wonderful day. And hello from San Diego, well, near San Diego. And love you guys. Thanks for checking out my channel. And yeah, I know it has nothing to do with drumming, but I enjoy the beauty of the yard, and I've planted all this stuff myself over time. So You know, the heavy stuff like the clumping bamboo, obviously I had to have help to lift that stuff with my gardener, but all the rest of it I've done myself and transplanted and hung and designed and all that kind of stuff. And then got this cheap fire table, well, relatively cheap compared to what other fire tables are. And then I just put fiberglass in it. So I like fiberglass. Fiberglass is cool. So that way it's kind of decorative, and it just runs off a propane tank in there. So, you know, you got your regulator here and then the regulator inside, and it's really great for hanging out and sitting here and looking out and watching the birds come and all that. And that was cool that we got to see one of the hummingbirds come right while I was just walking over to the feeder. Didn't plan that at all, but it worked out. All right, guys. Take it easy. Have a great day. Love ya. Bye. Want to say bye, Jackie? Jackie, want to say bye? Oh, there you. Yeah, okay. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Jackie. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, Jackie. Bye, guys. Have a great day.